Coming to you live from the offices of Chapter One Films in Charlotte, North Carolina, this is the 4D Podcast with your hosts, Nathanael Levinson, Greg Prinz, and Liam Maxwell. A new dimension in entertainment. This is the 4D Podcast.
A little bit.
We're back.
Say it.
We're so back. We're always back.
so back.
We're always here. Coming to you live. Cough, cough, wink, wink. Not touch.
An hour later.
We apologize to those that are watching this posted video, and you're like, hey, what the heck? I would like to comment and do all those things. We're not live.
I mean, you can still comment.
This is a recorded
we'll take the time to
episode.
respond to
We apologize. Having some technical difficulties, but we will get it fixed up for 2 weeks from now, I guess. 2 weeks from this coming Thursday. So it's technically like 10 days, 17 days from now. But we'll address all that later. But either way, we're happy to see you guys.
We adapt or die here.
Happy to see
at
you
4D
guys.
Ride or die,
Podcast.
ride
We
or die.
adapt or die.
I guess I'm the bad luck, though, right?
So
Did something go wrong last time you were
first
here?
off, we gotta figure out who this is.
guy?
So
Sitting in my seat with the fixed headphones.
we have
I'm
a
little salty about it.
special guest here today, Nathaniel. We've got two Maxwells in the building now. So
This is a problem.
Your head's going to be spinning.
so Liam,
at
why don't
this.
you go ahead and introduce the people to our guest today?
This is my cousin, Matthew Maxwell, an avid moviegoer. He's been pining to get on the 4D Podcast for months.
He's been in the line. It's a long line.
He's
So
a
what
good
you-
guy. He's a good lad.
So what you're telling me is this is Matt Max?
This is Matty Max.
This is Matty Max. Live in the studio.
We're happy to have him. We can't wait. He's been very excited, and he picked a great one for us.
Matt Maxwell is one of the good ones. We're happy to see you here, bud. We're excited to get to this movie and start talking. So just to bring the audience up to speed, if you didn't get it from our thumbnail, we're talking about Spider-Man today.
I want pictures of Spider-Man.
This is not the first time the Spider-Man references come up, right? What was the last
Anytime
movie?
J.K. Simmons is in a movie, we make it.
Accountant.
We make
The
it.
accountant.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons
Yeah.
was in as well.
And he wanted pictures of Spider-Man then too.
Which
He always does.
I think there are some parallels to the accountant that we'll get. Well, not necessarily parallels, but
I'm interested to see where that is.
we'll talk about that. But yes, we were talking about Whiplash today.
2014 Whiplash. There was an old Whiplash movie that I don't think has anything to do with drumming.
I don't believe. Yeah, no
It
relation.
was like 1964 or something. I don't know what it was about, but I was like, I don't think that's the right one.
This is the
Although I will say, while I was watching the movie, I actually had to look up when it came out because when it starts off, it's in the old college building. So I thought it was taking place. I thought it was an older movie, and then the kid has a smartphone. I was like, wait, what? what year is it? And I had to look up when it came out.
like what kind of dingy rundown college?
Yeah,
has
everything
got-
was so yellow. It was like
I-
the super yellow fluorescent
I
lights,
thought
and I was
that
like,
looked pretty accurate.
Yeah, I
to,
thought so.
yeah, it's pretty accurate to the
New York,
dungeon
right?
part of a university.
It's supposed to be New York.
Is it a real?
I think so. It's
Is it a
on
real
Schaefer
school?
Institute is a real place.
It is a real place.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it in New York?
It is in New York.
Okay, there
That
you go.
opening scene, it kind of establishes with a bunch of the aesthetics, like the buildings and all this stuff. And I maybe there was something in there that specifically said New York, but it definitely felt like New York.
Except for, so I was like, I think they're in New York. But then, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. He takes the girl out for pizza, and I'm looking at that pizza. I'm like, there's no way they're in New York. You would get shot for serving people.
That's not
that
a New
pizza.
York slice.
I was like, what on God's green earth is that? That is an abomination.
That's like a
that
North
was,
Carolina
It looked like
slice.
cafeteria. No, it wasn't even that. It looked like cafeteria pizza, and I was like, she should dump his ass right now. Like if he takes you there, it's like, oh yeah, it's good pizza. Like, no, it really wasn't.
He's supposed to be a freshman in college too. This is
Yeah.
definitely
But
one
he's
of
that
those
kid that always plays the really really awkward characters.
Miles Teller
Yeah.
until
Top Gun.
Until Top Gun, and
Where
he's
he
like,
is
hey,
the
I'm cool
opposite.
now.
He's the man.
He's
Wait,
the
was he in
opposite.
Top Gun Maverick?
He was
Yeah,
like
he
the
was-
Still haven't seen it,
stud.
so.
He was Rooster.
I haven't seen the original
Girls
Top Gun
were.
yet.
He was like the it guy for a while after Top Gun.
Yeah,
He's super
but
bad
really.
too. I think.
No,
Right?
He's in
Super
Project
bad.
X.
Project X.
Yeah.
Which is basically the
Same-
same.
yeah,
same
Is he in
Same
Project
thing.
X as Miles Teller?
No, he's a baseball player.
But he is like a celebrity in the movie. Like
Yeah, he's a celeb
He's
in
the
the
guy that
movie.
like,
Yeah.
yo, he's coming to the party. So that everyone knows.
Anyways, so Whiplash, I'll give a quick rundown for those of you that haven't seen it. So Whiplash follows a young student. He's a drummer in a jazz music school. Miles Teller is a freshman. He's a first year. and he's a super passionate drummer. He's in this prestigious school, and pretty quickly he meets J.K. Simmons, who is what's his character's name?
Terrence
Fletcher.
Fletcher, and
He's a teacher.
He's the big bad of the school. Like everybody knows, he's the equivalent of like a coach that's really intense and mean and has a very just abusive method to get the best out of his students. And everybody kind of knows this. Like you gotta get that feeling right off the bat.
And that's literally the whole movie.
And I mean, to be honest, yeah. So he gets put into Fletcher's squad, whatever you want to call it.
It's called the band.
Studio band.
It's called the band.
Well, I think the other thing to mention is like not only is he known as the big bad, but like he is also someone that everyone wants to be involved with. Like he's
so
very
this is something that I
successful,
feel like I
prestigious.
missed. Did they establish that Fletcher
No.
wins a bunch of competitions,
No.
or is like
No.
because everyone's like, oh, we want to be with Fletcher, but all I ever saw was him just being the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do people want to?
So before we jump into that, so I'll just finish the synopsis. But so yes, they introduce Fletcher. He's instantly the worst. He's verbally abusive to everybody. But it's established that he's the most prestigious teacher around. Everybody wants to be in his classes for whatever reason. So you assume, okay, well, he must be the best, even though he's a dick. So it's really just this escalation of him teaching Miles, abusing Miles, and Miles. I'm calling him Miles. I guess it's
Andrew Neiman.
Andrew Neiman is his name in the movie, and it's really about him slowly making life choices to either become a more balanced, healthy human being or to continue to pursue greatness. And he just
Let's
kind
put
of
greatness in big
yes,
air quotes.
yeah, I would agree. So continued to pursue being really good at the drums, I guess.
to
and-
pursue the drums at the expense of everything else.
Right. Well, I said that. I just
You
said
said to pursue greatness, but
Greatness
it's really
in
is.
the
said
he's
tangible
pursuing,
sense.
Yeah, he's pursuing
I
the drums.
suppose.
He's pursuing greatness, but he's doing it by saying, "I'm going to become an excellent jazz drummer, but I'm going to literally sacrifice every other part of my
that's
life."
what I
takes.
that's what I
Anything it
that's what I
takes
that's what
mentality.
I said right before I said that. I said he's either going to choose being a healthy human being with a balanced lifestyle, or he's going to choose greatness in isolation. Anyways, so he's slowly making these decisions. There's a lot of blow up moments between him and Fletcher, and it kind of climaxes with this moment where Fletcher kind of takes him under his wing once again at the very end and says, "Okay, let's do one last show," kind of thing. So he agrees to do it, and he was kind of on the fence. He was at this kind of tipping point of saying, "Well, maybe I will be this balanced person." But then he ends up saying, "Okay, you know what, Fletcher, I'll go back and I'll do the drum thing one more time." And it's this whole ploy, and it's one more test by Fletcher that's really nasty.
No,
and
it was
mean.
revenge. It was revenge because he got him fired.
Well, okay, we'll get into that. So
Was it?
It was.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. So Fletcher is really mean and tries to destroy his life once again, but the kid uses it as an opportunity to grow even more, and then it ends with this really ridiculous drum solo moment, and then Fletcher
That went
kind
on
of
for way too
finally
long.
acknowledges him, smiles, and then the movie ends. So those are the broad strokes of the movie. Obviously, we're scratching at wanting to talk deeper about it, which I think is great. Which is why.
But
it's
that's
gonna be-
literally all that happens in the movie.
That
is the movie.
Literally.
It is a 2-hour movie, and you can sum it up in 2 sentences.
Okay.
All
right,
right, did you enjoy it?
No, I did not.
Okay,
It took me. I watched this in like 3 or 4 installments because I kept being like, I'm just sick of this movie. I don't want to watch it anymore.
All right, so we'll get to Nathaniel's thoughts. First, I want to hear from Matt. So, Matt, you picked this movie. Really excited you did. I'm excited to sit here and talk about it. Why pick this movie? What about this movie do you really like?
So the first time I watched this was, I think, 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was still in college, and I just stumbled across it, heard good things, and I have no musical background at all. So coming into it, just not really. They're just okay, I'll enjoy this movie, whatever. And I related a lot to Miles Teller, Andrew Neiman. I think just with the struggles that he went through and the passion and drive he had for wanting to become great. Not so much the abusive part, but just the passionate drive he had for drumming. I had this similar mindset to volleyball when I played in college, and I related greatly to it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just I thought it was a really great movie, and just coming from no musical background, like
Yeah.
I said too, just appreciating the hard work in other aspects to life other than just like sports for me or
Sure.
anything. So
I did think that the movie did a really good job at being like, you don't have to know music at all to watch
No,
this
it's
movie.
very relatable to whatever anybody is pursuing.
Granted, maybe if you are a jazz expert, you're watching this going, well, none of that is making sense. I think that's a possibility.
I was on the way over here. I was touching up on my Buddy Rich stuff too.
Buddy Rich,
Yeah,
VR.
great. Listening to it on the way
Actually,
over
like,
here. It
the
was
tracks
awesome.
in the movie were like Whiplash, Caravan. Those are great tracks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the music they picked was excellent. However, like the first thing when he's having the people go and then stopping them, and he was doing the tempo thing. Now I played piano for a long time, and I was pretty good at it. I could not tell the difference in tempo for like any of that.
That's why
shit.
he's the best.
And then,
That's
here's
why
the thing,
Fletcher's the best.
So with the horn sections, I couldn't tell, but with the piano and the drums. And I have to go back and rewatch it, which I'm not going to do. But it definitely looked like, especially for when it was showing hands on the keyboard, I was like, those are not the notes they're playing. Like
Science
in
corner.
a music movie, you should be hitting the right note. Especially because I assumed that because they were doing cuts of where they're just showing the hands, I would assume you have an actual pianist. Pianist, get your minds out of the gutter.
There's two of them now, Leo. There's two of them now, Nathaniel. What do we do?
Piano player,
Dude,
another piano player.
Dude, what?
But they're just showing the hands. You would assume that they got an actual piano player to sit there and actually play the piano.
Well,
and a lot of times the drum fills like did not line up with what the sticks were hitting.
Right.
And that really, and I realize it's a minor thing. Like if you're not looking for it specifically, it's not that big of a deal. But it really irritated. It's not the reason I didn't like the movie, but it really irritated me because I was like, something just feels off about the visuals and the music. They're not quite synced up right. The horns, the horns is the one where like I can't tell. I can't tell if you're playing the right note or not.
I've never actually talked about this movie with someone who really knows music.
That is
like,
I'm like mid. I've been out of it for a long time, but you know.
I know your whole family
I
is super
can
musical.
tell where, you know, when you're playing on the piano, I know what octave the note should be in. And so I was hearing bass notes, but it was just his right hand playing on the treble clef. And I'm like, there are no bass notes being played right now. So what am I
Treble
hearing?
clef.
I will
I'm
say,
hearing phantom notes.
from the filmmaker's perspective,
It was still well shot,
There's a
like-
lot of times, especially like music videos, where you are using mashups of a lot of different things, and it really does not.
I recognize that.
Yeah,
Which the best thing of that was Meshuggah, New Millennium Cyanide Christ, where they're just doing air guitar the whole time. Then I can't fault them at all.
They filmed it. They filmed this in 14 days.
Yeah.
or something like
I can
that.
believe
10
that. It
10
was a tightly
weeks
filmed movie.
from start of film to finishing editing.
Yeah, well, because it
10
started
weeks.
off as a short film, and then
Yeah.
it won the short film festival.
I would have
and-
appreciated it more as a short film. It just
Yeah.
dragged on from it.
The other thing I wanted to mention something about authenticity is Miles Teller is a drummer.
Yeah,
Like,
that,
in
that
real
was
life.
something
Like,
that
he
was
actually like
J.K. Simmons plays the piano as well.
does he?
Yes.
I did not know that. Yeah, Miles Teller was a drummer since 15, but like ramping up to this movie, like started going hard at it again. Like he is a real drummer, which I think does speak to authenticity. Because I'm sure there's little stuff that's off from a music perspective, but I don't think
And
it would
that
be
I think may just be it's just the editing.
sure.
Yeah, it's
So-
definitely more so the edit because they used somebody else
because
for
I'm pretty
most
sure they
of the
had
music.
actual
Yes,
musicians
They had
in
no.
there.
Well-
they said they used Miles Teller for about 40% of the stuff that you're hearing, which I'm sure is just the basic stuff that he could play, and then any of the real intense stuff. I'm sure the whole ending sequence was by a professional. Because that was
Sorry,
just
they were doing the
absurd.
top down where you can't see his
Yeah.
face.
Who is the lead drummer to start? What was his name? Because
I know what his nickname is a couple times.
Yeah, we know his nickname, but he's a legit drummer.
Is he?
So he was doing like training with.
He taught the other
Miles
two,
Teller
from
and-
what I
yes,
from what
yes.
I
That's
what I
cool.
know.
That's cool.
But my point being that I think that I would be interested to know if a real like jazz music, because I have seen YouTube videos of like a jazz teacher watching that scene of being like nobody in the world would be able to hear anything in that amount of time that he's stopping them.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the whole purpose, and he even explains this in his method. You start to gain this knowledge. It's like that's not why he's doing it. He explains why he does the things he does, and it's psychotic. I mean,
He's a master manipulator.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm just doing this to make it as hard as I possibly can on people, to push people as hard as I possibly can. Anyway, so I don't think his methodology necessarily needs to be like if I was a prime musician. I still don't think it would bother me because I think again you're in this world, what he's doing pushes people well enough to whatever to force them to work really hard.
Sure,
I guess.
but
I don't know.
the thing that I didn't get
Yeah.
was, and he mentioned like because they keep referencing Charlie Parker,
Right.
who was a saxophonist, and I don't know if there's. I didn't look. I did
the
zero.
story-
I
so
did
the story
zero
is-
ass research. The
so-
story is
The story is actually real. Like I
Like
knew
it's
this before I
accessible.
watched it. I knew that story, but he doesn't throw it at his head. Apparently, he just like tossed it towards him. It's kind of like the main.
yeah. So,
story.
but
From
the,
what I remember,
but the
it was a long
idea
time
is
ago
the idea
that I-
is like,
that I read that.
Charlie Parker was abused and got stronger because of it. And so he's like, oh, I want to do that. I want to make the next Charlie Parker. And he said, I haven't had one. But so what I didn't get, and what I think I was really missing from the movie was an indication that his method had ever worked.
Well,
Because if it hadn't worked, it doesn't make sense for me, because he's been doing this for a long time, it doesn't make sense to me that anyone would want to join his band if it's like, oh, well, that's where all the people go, and then they end up killing themselves.
yeah.
Well, I think it might be a little implied that the people that he's taught, like that he's well respected at the very least, and there's a reason he's well respected by the people in the jazz community. The fact that he's kicked out of the school and he instantly gets a spot like opening for the big jazz competition, whatever the heck it is, with a band. Like I think people know him enough. He's able to go
I
into
guess,
that.
but that's not until the very, very, very end of the movie. So I needed something like earlier, like show me why everyone wants to
Well,
be in his band.
there was a line early on that was pretty subtle where he says something along the lines of, I'm not going to start losing now. That was right before the first
Right.
performance.
I got that, but again, I just like it never clicked. Like because and I think it would have helped if you had some perspective from some of the other players.
Well, I kind of, I guess we're jumping to the end a bit. Like we'll touch on the major themes of the movie, but like his methodology is the thing that we'll talk about the most. I'm assuming like that's the most interesting part about all this. But the idea that I think the movie doesn't necessarily have to show you like, hey, here are the awards he's won, here are the people that he's brought to greatness. I think it just shows you everybody's respect for him, and that at least lent to me that I said, okay, I don't know what he's done. Obviously, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming he's a big deal by the way that everybody's treating him.
I guess they're supposed to imply that when they walk they're all dicking around, and then the instant he walks in, it's absolute silence, like military standing.
That's what I mean. Like the movie establishes
but that,
him as
to
an
me
authority.
just establishes that he's scary and people are are afraid of him, not that they're eager to be there.
But if you're scary, if you're really scary and bad at what you do,
right,
nobody is gonna take your class.
I suppose.
It
Right.
goes hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah, like,
you say that.
I guess that's how I would say that I knew that he must be a big deal is because of how abusive he is, and that everybody's not just like okay with being there. They're like, this means you're the best if you're in his class.
That was all Neiman was searching for.
Yeah.
Was
I
validation
think
from
that
him.
it sets the tone in the first scene also. Before you knew Neiman, before you knew Fletcher, when Neiman's practicing in the whatever room that was, the other room,
Right.
and Fletcher walks in, and it was automatically just like, all right, I got to go to work, you know? And like
totally.
trying to prove that he belongs
Yeah.
at the school and that he belongs in
It
the
seemed like
studio
that was
band.
all he wanted from the beginning was validation from Fletcher.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right. And again, I picked up on all that. I just wish they had, it didn't need to be a lot. Just give me an intimation like, oh, like show up newspaper with like Fletcher, greatest jazz conductor of all time, or something, something to the effect of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have aided from some.
Just not make it not just subtext.
And I
'cause it
think
was just subtext.
you're not wrong that he hasn't produced a great.
But I also,
I'm sure he's produced a lot of amazing musicians, but like he even says himself, like he's not produced one of the greats, which I think, and we'll also speak into that. Like that's the methodology where I think it was all about him anyway. Like I
Yeah,
don't think he
right,
wanted
100%.
it. I don't think he wanted.
Oh yeah,
It could have been
he was-
Neiman. It could have been
yeah, he was completely
Connolly.
selfish.
Anybody, whoever he saw.
Oh,
but like
he
it
is-
was about him.
he is 100% like an irredeemable character.
Yeah, he's
for
a
sure.
complete psychotic
Yeah,
narcissist.
he's not like, and I don't think in the movie. I think this might even be why the movie hesitated to show anything of his accolades, because I think the movie wanted you to feel like everybody else does. Like, okay,
but
well,
then you have
he's this-
the ending.
What about the ending?
The ending where he's just like, I accept you, and then they start playing, and it's like, happy ending. Like,
No,
not
the
really.
ending's a tragedy. The ending, you have the dad coming out and embracing Neiman, and he's like, "Hey, it's okay. It's all right. Like I'm here. I've got you." Like this is, in my opinion, like I would like the dad is the hero of the movie, right? Like the dad is somebody who is looked at his own personal greatness as a writer and sacrificed that for a son, and said, "I'm going to be I'm an only father, and so it's not going to be about my greatness anymore. It's about providing for my kid." And Neiman not understanding that yet and going, "Oh, well, life is about my greatness, and I need to figure out how to get there." And you have this big contrasting moment at the end of the movie where he's able to do it. He's like, go into your dad's arms, or you can turn around and move more towards isolation, and you can become Fletcher. And he chooses that. And so the movie is, but the movie doesn't try to tell you that that's good. I don't think that the movie
It
No,
ends with
I think the
Fletcher
opposite.
accepting him and then playing in the band. That's like he got what he wanted.
Well, I mean, he did, but I think you're supposed to be sad about that.
That's not how the ending felt to me.
I mean,
You felt like it was a joyous occasion at the end?
Not like joyous, but like, hey, he beat Fletcher at his own game.
No, I think Fletcher.
they
Fletcher
both won.
still won. Yeah,
I think they need each other.
like Fletcher.
Like they absolutely they're miserable without one another, right? Like so you see Neiman at the family dinner. So he has a family dinner, right? And it's I mean it's hilarious kind of, but you can tell that nobody quite understands what he's doing, right? So everybody's the two cousins, they're football players, and so the dad and the uncle are talking about that. They understand football, so let's talk about that. Oh, the dad, he's a teacher. He wants some. Hey, congratulations for that. And oh, Neiman, what are you doing? And he's I'm actually doing way better than all you guys. And they're going, oh well, okay, cool, whatever. And they move on. And he just feels like a lack of understanding from anybody. He's doing something. And so he takes that isolation and says, okay, well, I need to either dig into that, or like the further I move towards people, the further away I'm going to move from what I'm good at, which is drumming. And he's constantly making those decisions throughout the movie. So he gives up.
I think he only made two major decisions. Was when he broke up with his girlfriend,
Yeah.
and when he turns away from his dad at the end. Everything else was he had the same mindset the whole movie.
No, dude. So he starts off in his room and he's late for the first practice, right? And so what does he do? He moves his bed into the training room, so he's living in the training room, and then he's constantly taking steps to practice more and to become more obsessive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His mindset never changes.
It did change from the beginning, though.
Not really.
Well, I would maybe it doesn't change, but
His character growth was him getting the spine to stand up to Fletcher, which happens right at the end of the movie, to say,
That's not-
I don't need the validation from you. I know that I'm a good drummer because I've put in this much psychotic amount of work. And that's what he's doing. That's the whole point of the drum solo is he's showing up Fletcher. He's saying, the whole point of everything that he did was him earning his part. And Fletcher saying, no, you didn't earn your part. And him proving to Fletcher that, yes, I did. I earned my part.
yeah, but Fletcher smiles at the end too. Fletcher loved it.
I think
Yeah.
I think the thing is here is that Neiman was scared of him at first, and once he finally stood up, he still had the mentality of like, yeah, I'm a damn good drummer, and and I can play, but towards the end it was confidence at that. So like that last scene where he was just playing,
Yeah.
it was just all confidence.
Yeah.
So
But I do think that was part of Fletcher's plan. Was to
Not at the end. No, I think.
yeah,
Nope.
100% think that was part of Fletcher's
0%
plan.
agree. Nope, because he starts playing, right? He does the thing where he humiliates him because he's like, "Oh, I need you."
He's basically going to ruin his future.
Yeah,
right?
to reiterate, right? So at the very end of the movie,
disagree.
So they have this big competition, and Fletcher, the bus gets a flat tire, and so he's having trouble getting there, and he leaves his sticks at the car rental. So he goes back, gets the sticks. By the way, I saw this coming from a mile away. I was like, well, obviously he's going to get in a car crash. He's coming back. He's driving as fast as he can back to the concert hall or wherever they're playing, and just gets T-boned by a truck.
he gets whiplash.
Yeah, literally, he gets whiplash.
Hey,
And he like He gets out of the car. He stumbles over to the music hall. He's all bloody and broken, and he can't hold his drumstick, so he keeps dropping his drumstick. And Fletcher tells him, to get out. And that's when he basically quits. And they say, hey, the school approaches him and says, hey, there was another student who committed suicide, and it was after he started taking Fletcher's classes. Are you willing to basically testify against him? And he says, yeah, I'll do it. And then Fletcher gets kicked out. He runs into Fletcher at a jazz club, and Fletcher talks to him and is like, hey, I'm doing this JVC thing. If you want to come drum for us, we're doing all the old stuff that we used to do, Whiplash and Caravan and that. And so he says, yeah, sure. And so they're on stage, and they're like, oh, we're going to play a new one. And so everyone pulls out the sheet music except for Neiman because he doesn't have it. And J.K. Simmons, Fletcher walked up to him and says, I know it was you who got me kicked out. Like this is his act of revenge, just to humiliate you. He makes the point, and he gives the speech to all the musicians beforehand, like, you know, these are the jazz elites, the people watching the show.
Yeah.
If they like you, you'll go far, and if they don't
you-
like you, they never forget. So if you bomb here, you're done.
Right.
And so he's intentionally sabotaging. He's setting up Neiman to fail, and basically telling him like, I'm murdering your career. And then
I don't think Neiman cares at that point.
yeah. Well, so Neiman leaves. Neiman goes to leave. His dad meets him at the door and is like, let's go home. And Neiman turns back, goes back to the drum set, and just starts drumming, and
Takes command of the band.
Yeah, takes command of the band. And Fletcher walks up and is like, I will gouge your eyes, like he's threatening him. And then he just goes into this like 12,000 year long drum solo.
So sick.
And
Awesome.
Fletcher, he wins Fletcher's respect by basically playing at his own game.
Yeah. I mean, I would say...
And the movie ends with him, he finishes the drum solo, and the movie ends with the band, like him playing with, and the band starting up with Fletcher being like, okay, you're part of the band.
I mean, I would definitely say that like that's on point with Fletcher's character. Like, it wasn't like he was this good teacher the whole time, and all of a sudden he did something to plot revenge. I think that's a part of his method. He basically goes, okay, if this is enough, and he says it when he has a conversation with Neiman, right? He says, it doesn't matter how hard I am. How it doesn't really effectively matter if somebody commits suicide, which is, you know, it's just his own delusion. Because truly the greats wouldn't be affected by this.
I clung on to the same
Right.
sentence.
So basically, when he comes into that moment with Neiman at the end, he basically goes, okay, I'm either going to kick you out and embarrass you, in which case I win, or I'm going to turn you into something great, in which case I win.
No, I do not think that JVC thing was part of his plan at all.
I 100% think it
I
was.
completely disagree.
I can
100%
tell you,
think it
I
was
can
his
tell
plan.
you, I can tell you it was, because there's interviews with the director where he talks about the ending. But so he, like I don't want to pull
Well,
a
the
trump
director
card.
is wrong.
But
How can you direct a movie and be so wrong about it?
But the director made this to be a tragedy. And he talks about how bad he hates Fletcher, like because I guess the director was a
Which
drummer.
is why I
and has
didn't
a
enjoy
horrible-
watching the movie.
Has a horrible experience with the reason why I would say this is different from other movies we might have watched last week, which we might get into, is because I think that the movie points it out. I mean, maybe it's not blatantly obvious, because I do agree. The ending does, and I think it will be more challenging for people that maybe have more deeply rooted competitive spirits, right? Because, and this is why when they were like, "Oh, do you think Nathaniel's gonna like it?" I'm like, "He's not gonna like this at all." It's because, and it's just the way that like me and you playing games. How do we differ? It's so
I
different.
play games to have fun. You play games to win.
There we go. Exactly.
There you go.
And I don't think there's anything. I think there's probably an unhealthy direction in both of those directions. But I think that he's clearly the representation of an unhealthy direction, and he's basically saying the way that you idolize greatness, the way that me and you and Liam and all these people idolize greatness. And again, I think maybe you don't really care for it that much, because these are the eyes that you have for people. You don't go, you're great because you're an amazing drummer. You're just like, hey, screw it. You know, let's just go have fun. So for me and maybe others that look at the situation and go, oh man, it's so cool. Like, Michael Jordan is the greatest. What I wouldn't give to be like him. This movie shines a light and says, that's probably not even the healthiest lifestyle. In order to be like that, you're turning into Fletcher. Like you're isolating yourself. I mean, every step that he took towards becoming a better drummer, he took away from healthy community with people, away from a father that loved him, and he became more resentful of his father. Because it starts off, you can tell he like the first conversation he has with his dad, right? They're sitting there eating popcorn, they're watching the movie, and he's like, "Oh, I don't eat the Raisinets. I just eat around them. I just like you can put them in there for you." And he just looks at him and he's like, I just don't understand you. And that's the whole thing with their whole relationship, is that he wishes that his dad understood how much he wanted to be great. Now, is there something there about, like, should you want to model, you know, hard work and dedication as a father to your kid? Sure. But I don't think, like, he was a very good dad the whole movie. I think everybody, like, I loved the dad's character. At the end, I felt like the dad running to Miles to hug him to say, look, don't let that guy tell you who you are. Let me show you who, like you're loved, and it's Miles turning from that and saying, no, I want to go to greatness. And it's the movie saying, you see, like, that's not always a happy ending. These people turning into greats. Lots of times it's a tragedy, because most, like, how many times do you hear artists specifically, because they're just idolized and worshipped, and they get to the end of that road and they go, okay, well, what else is there? And they're just empty, and they kill themselves.
I thought a really good scene was right before the dinner when Neiman was telling his father about like, you know, Fletcher's finally like thinks I'm like getting there, getting good. And then his father replies with like, his word means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty
like,
powerful.
Yeah. Well, the artists, athletes, the greats, a lot of times are really broken people. Tiger Woods. Have you heard the Tiger Woods story? His father emotionally abused him forever, and he is the greatest golfer ever. Like, there is a lot of like correlation between the greats and brokenness, but it's because they've dropped everything else for this tangible worldly pursuit. And so I think what I took from it a lot is like the overall theme was like, is it worth it? And of course, for me, no, it's not worth it. But like, there's some really powerful like.
Well, I mean, it's in that dinner scene where, you know, the guys are like, oh, blah, 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 football, you know, I won this award and that award, I scored the most points or whatever. And Neiman says it's Division III. It doesn't. It's, you know,
that was a great line. That was a great line.
And he's like, no one's going to be talking about you when you die. People
Yeah.
are talking about Charlie Parker. And it's like, okay, so what?
Right.
And that's the thing is,
Totally.
and I
Totally.
think this is why it gets artists and actors, and especially artists, actors, and athletes, is because for a large part of their work is just going to fade into nothingness. Of
course.
And they're
They
very cognizant
sacrifice
of that.
priorities.
And I think I think all of us
and
probably
it's-
feel that way, that it's not worth it, right? Because we
Yeah.
all have a faith background, and like
Yeah.
that is what's worth it. So like I think it's very easy for all of us
they're,
to see like
they're pursuing
oh, no.
some. They're not just, but it's not just that they're pursuing something that's, you know, tangible and very ethereal, like physical but that's very not lasting. But also that, so if you think about like world leaders who build a legacy, good or bad, right? They're shaping like actual political landscapes, like changing lives. And I know a lot of actors like to think they're changing lives, but honestly, if we lost all actors tomorrow, the world would not be that much worse off, right? If we lost every athlete, if sports was canceled forever and ever tomorrow, like professional sports, it would not impact. I mean, it would. Okay.
It'd be boring.
I would disagree with the
there would be
athletes
an economic
personally.
there would be an economic impact, but I mean, like, in terms of what they're accomplishing in terms of world change is
I do agree that like
art is a little bit more
well because I think
impactful, I think, but ultimately I think it's like you spend all this time and effort into becoming great at one thing. You have to sacrifice your time and other pursuits, and you want that sacrifice to have meant something. And again, any earthly pursuit is probably not going to end up meaning much to most people.
And I think that's a good point, because I think the closest thing you could say Fletcher is like a drill sergeant, right? Like, it's probably the closest relation you can make is he's constantly berating with insults. He's never giving encouragement. Even if you do good, he's making you feel like you did bad. And a drill sergeant does this for a very different reason, though, right? Because a drill sergeant is ultimately acting outside of himself, and he's going, I need to make sure that you guys are ready to go and die. Like, it's a really big deal. Like, you guys are going to go killing people and trying
honestly,
to keep yourself.
Today's drill sergeants are probably like, okay, now when everyone's ready.
But my point being is that there might be a limit to that, to say, okay, in that situation when we're talking life or death, like you protecting not just us but yourself, like you're going to be in situations where your life is going to be on the line. You do need to have somebody that's going to push you to such limits. But the reason that those drill sergeants push those kids is because they care about them.
Yeah.
Is because they're saying, hey, I need to make you so mentally strong, so in these really tough moments, these life or death moments, you will be okay. Whereas somebody playing the drums doesn't have that equivalent. And also, Fletcher wasn't doing that for any of the kids.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's the worst quality of his, is that you can tell he was personally motivated.
Two big examples with the one kid that he just kicks out of the band, and he's just like, fine, like, that's okay. He wasn't even out of tune, but like he thought he was, so that makes him terrible. And he doesn't care at all about that kid. He doesn't go and talk to him, doesn't do anything like that. And then his one prodigy student who kills himself, he has no remorse for that whatsoever. In fact, he's even confronted with it. He's like, oh, no, I don't regret it at all, because like the greats wouldn't be affected by that. And so he's completely inwardly motivated. And so that already takes his methods, and you go, okay, Nathanael has a point. Like, so far, we haven't seen results from it. You are this highly touted teacher, and you are pushing these people to become a lot better than they could be without you. But it's not ultimately healthy for any of them, from what we can see.
Yeah, and so you said it was a short film first. I would have enjoyed it a lot more than the short film, because ultimately, there's not a whole lot that happens in the movie. It's he gets abused, he keeps trying. He gets abused, he keeps trying. He gets abused,
that's a fair
he keeps trying. And there's like 2 or 3 major moments in the film, and I really feel like you could have condensed it down. And that was, to me, why it was hard for me to watch, was because it's just this screaming abuse, which is not pleasant to watch, and it just drags on.
It's actually very pleasant to watch. It's hilarious.
I will say that, like, I think that's a pretty fair critique, just because I really liked the movie, but if I were really to think about it, there was a lot of, and I mean, I think part of the repetition is intentional, right? Just to, like, because you're trying to see.
And the thing is, I'm coming up from a perspective as someone who is a teacher who does coach students,
That's a good point,
kids,
too.
and I'm like, look, I think there is a place for tough love, but that wasn't tough love; it was just cruelty.
But just because you
And-
disagree with it doesn't mean it's a bad movie
No.
or a bad plot
I didn't say
point.
it was a badly made movie. I said I didn't enjoy it. I said I
That's
hated
true.
the movie.
That's
But I
true.
never said it was a bad movie.
Yes.
It was well made. It was well acted. I got the point of the story. I just don't feel any urge to ever watch it again or to recommend it
Can't
to
you
anyone.
also the fact that you're a teacher and coach? Can you, like, if you
What
see
not to do?
Yes, yeah. Is that
Yeah,
not also a
it's
powerful?
pretty obvious to not do that.
But is that also
Jeez,
not a
don't abuse
powerful
your
point
students.
to a movie?
Nathaniel was sitting
Not
there and he was
particularly
like,
for me.
You can have a takeaway of, oh, that's a great example, and then you can have a takeaway that's a bad example.
There's a 0% chance that guy doesn't get fired immediately.
Yeah.
Like, no way that, the kids that get kicked out of his class, surely they're going to go say, hey, he was yelling at me and he kicked me out, not even for being out of tune, he said all these horrible things.
or
It's like,
he slapped me repeatedly in the face.
yeah.
physically
Well, I mean,
abused.
oh yeah, he did do
It's-
that.
it's
I was like, it was
pretty-
mostly emotion. It was mostly verbal.
Yeah.
But
Mostly,
no, there
yeah.
was that time where he was actually slapping.
That was the
Neiman in
first.
face.
That was like the first.
That was like the
practice.
first one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you know why I threw a chair at you? I mean, J.K. Simmons was fantastic.
Dude, he
I
was
just despised that movie. Not
I
for the same reasons I despised Old Boy, but just because I don't care to watch that sort of thing happen. Again, if it was a short film, I think I could have tolerated it, but it was just so much. It was just unpleasant. I just didn't enjoy it.
I don't know if I would have enjoyed it had it been anybody other than J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he does have a sense of, like,
Gravitas.
I don't know, like, there was, because I'm typically like you, Nathaniel. Like, I don't
He's the
necessarily
Rizzler.
like the
He's got the Riz.
the movies that are just painful, but there was something about him doing it that he did so well that I was interested to see the next scene and the things he would say and the things he would do and the next ridiculous method he would imply.
But it was all the same thing. It was all just screaming and yelling and calling them names.
And it was hilarious. Like, actually,
some of the
I guess
so
if you're a
funny.
horrible human being and you like watching people be abused, if you're one of the people
Well,
who
it's a movie, so I
do
can
you,
separate
Do you
that,
like watching
but-
prank fails and people getting injured?
No, because this is a
That's what
movie
it
that's
felt like
not
to me.
real.
I
You don't-
realize
you don't
that,
like
but that
those
doesn't mean
Real people, oh yeah, actually I do.
I love
But
that.
That's what I was gonna say.
real people are not getting actually emotionally abused.
I realize that, but the fact of the matter is, like, there are teachers like that.
Yeah, and that's a great example of what not to do, like you just
Yeah.
said. I can take away as much there as I can of great examples of teachers. I can.
I'm such a believer in tough love too, and
Yeah.
like
Right.
pushing your players or drummers or whatever to their limits. Like, not at the emotional part, but like knowing them and being able to push them
In the right
until
way.
Yeah.
like until they succeed and until the team succeeds or whatever.
And you and both of our dads are tough love
Right.
dads.
Right.
And they
Where
put,
it's like they'll yell at us.
But
We'll get yelled at,
they
but at
knew
the end
we
at
could
the end of the
handle
day,
it, though.
yeah.
well,
Yeah, and I think there is a place for tough love, and I think there are people, mostly guys, who respond well to that.
yeah,
I think it's a legitimate coaching strategy, but I think it needs to be used carefully
of course.
because that is the one that's easiest to tip over into actual abuse.
Yes. Well, I think the important part of that is you have to have already established the baseline that they care about you as a person.
Yeah.
Which obviously Fletcher doesn't do,
Fletcher
which
doesn't.
is so insufferable,
Yeah.
right? That's why that's I think
The
the worst
worst.
quality of him, right? But like the tough love comes after you've already established that like they really care about you. So I think that's the biggest like fork in the road between like actual tough love that works and it's actually like honorable and pushes people in the right way versus how Fletcher did to Neiman.
Well, and this is the connection I'm going to make between the accountant and this movie. If anybody's watching
They
this, go
both
back
had
and watch
J.K. Simmons?
our accountant episode. It's really good. No,
The dad?
I thought the most interesting part about that cast was when we got into the conversation about the dad, because the dad in that movie is is probably installing methods that none of us would. I'm going to go ahead and say definitely instilling methods amongst his kids that none of us would ever dream to do, right? He has trained assassins come and fight his sons and beat them up, and he tells them to continue to do it even after his sons are exhausted. But and we all disagreed with that. However, none of us denied the fact that he loved his kids, that he was like he was doing it 100% because he thought that he needed to prepare them, and he kept telling that. He's
Right,
like, listen,
but the thing is, they were cognizant of that. They understood that he was like, I'm trying to prepare you as best I can, and I know what your limits are. And it's like they're doing the instructor with the karate, and he's like, they're not done. I know their limits.
yeah,
They can keep going.
yeah, and that's my whole point.
And that's completely different from Fletcher,
Yes,
who's just
exactly
abusive.
right?
Totally.
That's
We
my,
all agree
my,
there.
My whole point is being that dad who installed equally, if not worse, methods, right, to have you fight people and have them beat you up all the time. But it was different because not only did the boys understand, but the dad understood that he loved them and he was trying to prepare them, whether that was psychotic and wrong, to be seen. But he loved them to the point where he took a bullet for one of them and died. Whereas Fletcher is just a narcissist. He wants to do it so that he can be the guy that found the next great. And so that the world is going to be robbed of all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like it's the stuff that makes you want to punch somebody, like some pretentious music person that you're like, oh, you're the worst. But I think that's the idea, and I think one of the most compelling things about the whole movie, is the ending. But I think it's the ending for a certain reason, though. And I think it's why the ending happened the way it did, is because. For me, at least, and I think probably for two of you at least, Nathanael, I have no idea what you're thinking about the ending, but there's a party that really, really loved that, right? Like you kind of loved it. He came out there and he's like, screw it, and he just started drumming and all this stuff. So you loved it. The crowd loved it, right? Mm-hmm. Neiman loves it. Fletcher loves it, and who didn't love it?
The dad.
The dad, because he's the only one in the whole movie that cares about Neiman. And so we can love it because when we look at somebody who's doing greatness, we can look at Michael Jordan, we can look at anybody, we can say, yes, give me more of that. Shoot yourself up a steroids, like, I don't care. Like, if you're producing more, I'm going to look around and be like, oh, yeah, that's really sad, but I'm going to kind of love it. And the crowd's going to love it. Your coach is going to love it. They're going to be like, hey, like, I just want to push you to be better. And the person's going to love it at the time. And the people that won't love it are the people that actually really love those people. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was super powerful because nobody in the movie loves Neiman except for his dad. His dad's the only one and he says it. He's just like, nothing is more important to me than knowing that you're okay. And not even he cares about himself that way. He's just like, I just want to be great. I don't care if I die. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how many kids say stupid stuff like that, and they have to have a good parental role to tell them, no, that's not what it's about. Yeah. And he's been influenced by this horrible role. But I thought that was cool because I found myself in the crowd at that moment going, yeah, get out there, go do this. Yeah. It's amazing. He's great. And I didn't care at all that he was going down this road to become more like Fletcher in that moment. And I thought that's why the ending was so brilliant, because then you have to stop and go, oh, wait a minute. No, it's really sad. Wait, no, the dad was right that whole time, because I don't care for Neiman the way that the dad cared about Neiman. I wanted to see the movie play out like that. So I don't really care about his well-being. And that shows how I view people. Like, this is why people keep trying to be great, is because there's people like me in the crowd cheering them on. That's convicting.
And once you hit rock bottom, like Neiman did,
right,
and he still continues, like at the end, he was just playing. Mm-hmm. Like he loved to drum. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like sports background, right. If you hit rock bottom sometimes, and now it's like, if you still have the same love for the game after all of that, that's something to say.
Yeah. Right. And I think you have the moment where it's like he's on the knife's edge, right? So he's been kicked out, and he got Fletcher fired, and so he's throwing out all of his old drum stuff, and he's slowly starting to move out of isolation again. He's watching a movie with his dad. He's thinking about Nicole again. Mm-hmm. He calls her. It's a fail.
But that was heartbreaking.
Great girl.
That scene was heartbreaking.
Now he deserved that. Yeah, 100%.
No, of course he did.
I was like, good. She moved on.
Yeah, no, of course he did. But that's like that.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't like Neiman.
Yeah, and that's the whole.
I think he's a dumbass and he deserves what he got. I'm gonna say it.
But
that's not like a hot take though. I think it's an understandable take.
He had it coming.
I think that he and everybody else in the band, everybody that's a part of Fletcher's band, is becoming like, they're all jerks. Every time they talk, they're just like, turn my pages, bitch, and just like, and you're sitting there like, wait, So this is a group of people.
I'm like, you can play jazz, my guy.
Yeah.
Calm down.
The one dude was like, "Don't touch my folder, man."
It's like they're all just becoming more like Fletcher, and Fletcher just like he needs people like that around him in order to be happy.
I think he also fosters that pretty hard.
Yeah.
like the way
of course.
the way he communicates. I'm sure there's some good eggs in the group squad. Whatever, what is it? Band
is the word.
But
we're
like,
looking
just
for.
like being around that constantly, that's probably they start talking like that, and then now they're abusive. Like that is how that works.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's his method and it's what he's trying to teach is that in order to be great, you have to
Be a dick.
you have to cut everything out and everybody out, and this is a group of people that
Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to take us outside of the movie for a second. And again, go back to the fact that it's jazz.
let's make fun of
Jazz,
some
I
people.
love jazz. Don't get me wrong. I love jazz.
Ditto.
But if we think about the popularity of jazz worldwide, it's like fine, but it's not like they make a comment. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering it right, they make a comment like, "Oh, the people who drop out go play rock and roll." I'm like, so they leave and go make way more money than you guys do. Who's great again? Who's winning this competition? Like, you want to be great, okay, but the only people who are going to remember you are the niche jazz nerds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the average Joe doesn't know who Charlie Parker is. Maybe he has heard the name.
I still don't even know.
He's a saxophonist. He played the saxophone. I couldn't name him. I couldn't name a single one of his songs.
That's when he became Bird. I'm like, all right,
Okay, yeah,
Bird.
exactly right.
Cool.
It's like
I don't
cool.
know what that means.
Okay, so it's like, oh, you're pursuing greatness. That's fine, but
Well, I
is that greatness even worth attaining?
well, I do think
To them,
I do
I
think that this
guess.
is where I said that I think that the Maxwell brothers, cousins, and myself might have a deeper relation than you in this aspect because there is a
You
part
guys
of
are competitive.
well, there's
and
a
you have
part
your
of
priorities
there-
wrong.
There's a
I mean,
yeah,
what?
and I mean, there's a part of all
We
three
got
of
him right
us.
too. It's easy. That's what we call the triple burn. Easy, 3 for 1.
There's a part of all three of us that have that darker draw to say, oh man, like I want to kick everybody else out of my life and just be the greatest at this thing. I mean, I like that has existed in me to say, what would it take, right? And then
See, I don't get that. It sounds so boring to me.
and that's probably a healthier perspective to take. However, I do think in a lot of situations,
I will say,
and again,
I think there's a good drive to do the best, to be the best you can be,
Yes.
to do the best you
Yeah.
can. And I think there is a competitive aspect to that. So if you're in a sport, you say, I was swimming, so you're always trying to drop time. You have the cuts, the A's, the double A's, the triple A's. You say, I want to hit that next goal. What does that mean? What do I need to do training wise? So I think that is healthy to say, hey, I think I can do better.
yeah,
Right.
and also,
but to say I just want to beat all these other people's asses and prove that I'm better than them, like I've just
Yes.
never
I think
understood
all
that at
three
all.
of us have said that infinite times.
You're so obsessed with your performance
Yeah.
that you let it determine how you feel.
Totally.
On a day-to-day
I
basis.
struggle
you know?
with it all the time.
like you have to remind yourself,
Constantly.
at least for the three. So the three of us play volleyball. If people at home didn't know, and Nathaniel swims, but for the three of us that play volleyball,
I'm still sore. This Sunday I did a 1.2 mile
We
swim
heard.
in a lake.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
the first
Props.
half was into the current. It was brutal. It literally felt like the water was punching me in the face. Like
Matt
just
would
punching
drown.
me back.
Matt would
I
be
would
dead.
I would have
Hard.
joined.
It was
would've
fun though.
lost
Water
Matt.
felt great,
that's
but it was hard.
1.2.
1.2 miles.
Jeez, I was trying to explain to them how I was
45
like,
minutes.
I was like, yeah, I was like, do you know how long it is to swim a mile? Because you think of running a mile, and you're like, oh, I have 6 minutes. Or
Yeah, running a
7
mile is
minutes.
nothing.
and then you're like, no, swimming a mile is like you're dead.
Well,
I'm
plus
dead.
into the
like if I had to
current.
swim a mile
that
in a
was-
lake,
it was
Is
so
it
brutal.
I
like
would die.
it's like distance made? So it's like if the current's coming this way, could you be going backwards? At
Well,
once?
okay, so
like,
they give you a little like ankle tag that measures your distance.
okay.
And so
okay.
when I got out of the water, the clock said 51 minutes. But I had actually finished swimming a mile distance in
That makes sense.
45
That
minutes.
makes
So
sense. That
I
makes sense.
swam for an extra 6 minutes because of the current.
just for funsies.
Wow.
Just for funsies.
Wow.
But to piggyback on what Matt said, I guess what Liam was echoing, yeah, like there are so many times that I have to stop and because in my head I'm going, this is the most important. This game made for girls that I happen to play, which is the truth. No, most people are like, oh, you play ball? Like I didn't know guys play
I didn't know
volleyball.
guys
I'm
play
like,
volleyball.
That's what I was thinking when Nathaniel was like, jazz. I was like, I bet a lot of people say that about men's volleyball.
I mean, and again, I love jazz, but Most people
How
I
many,
know
how many
don't care about
outsiders know
jazz.
volleyball?
Men's
You know?
volleyball? No, yeah. Like, do you know? Does the common person know the greatest men's volleyball player in the world right now?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't even know the greatest women's volleyball player. I don't know any.
Exactly.
I know zero
I don't
volleyball
either.
players except for you three people in this room right now. So,
Exactly,
as
right.
far as I'm concerned, you guys are the best. Except for those Cuban guys Greg has shown me. Those guys are way better than you. But
Torres brothers.
Probably. I don't know.
like the old Cuban guys who are just like, look at the ball and it goes where they want it to.
Oh no! I showed him. I showed him Camacho. You know, the old guy.
Yeah.
Camacho,
yeah,
who
yeah,
just
yeah.
like who just
like
doesn't
a
even
wizard.
doesn't even
Oh,
jump.
yes,
doesn't
yes.
even jump, and he just like hits the ball with his
Yeah.
hands over the net.
He
with
plays
two-
Pottstown.
Yeah.
Right?
It
Like, you
looked,
play
it
him.
looked
Go.
like he was moving the ball with
You
his
know
mind.
him?
It was
Yes,
insane.
yes.
I've never seen him play. I guess,
Multiple
but-
multiple pass down victories, I think.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
He's not that this is going to mean much to the audience, but he's just this short old Cuban guy, and we have all
He
these,
just had the
these
magic touch.
young, just freak athletes, and this guy just walks out there and just hoses most
Yeah.
of them. It's pretty wild.
I think
to
he's
see.
subscribed. I think Camacho's subscribed.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
it, so I think
Shout
I'll
out
see
to
this.
Camacho.
Yeah. Macho, keep doing what you're doing, bud. You're doing great.
But my point being that we have to remind ourselves that this is a game, right? Like we're constantly like, hey, listen, my identity is not in volleyball. What a silly thing to think. Most of the people I meet would be like, oh, I didn't even know you played that
Right.
sport. But it is a reminder that we have to do for
Yeah.
ourselves.
And that's the allure, is to put your identity in that thing. And when you put your identity in that thing so ethereal, and people do it with their jobs, people do it, especially right now, people do it with their sexuality or whatever, their political leanings or whatever it is. They put their identity in something that is not permanent, that does not have staying power, that ultimately cannot support a human soul.
and,
sure.
And sorry, I didn't.
And because of that, that's where you get these, we are living in the best conditions that human beings have ever lived on the entire history of the planet. And we have higher rates of depression and anxiety and suicide and all these things than ever before, because people have put their stock and their identity and they have staked their soul in things that ultimately do not matter, that fade away, that do not satisfy, even though we know we have the data to show that money does not make you happy. We know that money does not make you happy, but people keep trying it like, well, maybe it'll work for me. Right?
I've got it figured out, though.
Yeah, maybe all those other celebrities and people who made out like bandits, like, I would probably just smarter than them.
Well,
It's like,
Well,
no, you're not.
I do think that one element to the movie that might have been interesting. I don't know how they would have done it, but I think that their whole point was that if you're going to become a great in this way, sell out in this way, it's going to lead to like that guy killed himself because he was verbally abused and he had all that anxiety. Whereas I think a more powerful message would have been, he killed himself because he sold out for jazz and he realized that that's ultimately empty. Like that if that's all you do and you isolate, then and I think it was.
I think
it was
that was
more,
implied. Like,
yeah,
like
maybe
the
it was.
parents blamed it on the abuse,
Fletcher.
But I think ultimately, and I think that's part of it. But I think it's ultimately because he didn't get to the heights that he thought he would have, or he got to the end and he was like,
Yeah.
there's nothing here.
That's the thing. You get to the end, right? You be like, what happens when you like? That's like they have the interview with Tom Brady where they're like, "Hey Tom, like you just won your 6th Super Bowl. You're married to a supermodel. You have unlimited money. You're arguably the greatest football player of all time. How do you what have you figured it out?" And he goes, "No." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean? What's next?" He's like, "I don't know, but I'm still looking for it."
Yeah.
yeah,
it was
and that's
like-
why. That's what. And I'm hypothesizing here. I'm speculating.
And then he-
But that's why he ended up getting divorced. Because he was like, oh, yeah. His wife was like, hey, I want you to retire and come spend time with our billions of dollars and our kids and our mansion with our ponies and our 17 sports cars. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And then 5 weeks into it, he's like, I'm a football player.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in my life.
Correct.
This is all like all the supermodel wife and the kids and all the stuff is just trappings. If I don't play football, I don't know who I am anymore.
I think
and
that's
then so he went
the
back.
most
and his wife was
plausible
like,
outcome.
okay, boop boy, bye foop.
Yep.
And I was like, you're an idiot, Tom Brady. Figure that shit out.
There's
man.
a really powerful story I've heard before. Jenny Finch. I don't know if anybody recognizes the name. She was the best softball pitcher in the world. So they won. The
I
Olympics.
do
She's
not-
the best
I-
pitcher.
okay.
She's the best slow
I
pitcher.
understand
Softball
physics.
pitcher.
I
No, not-
understand
not-
physics.
not slow-
I
not
do
slow
not
pitch.
understand how a softball moves.
She was the
during that
best
pitch.
worst
It's wild to
softball
me.
player.
She was
She's
the best
slow pitch
She was-
pitcher.
she was the
throw it and it would
slowest
just like it would just be like
It's the slowest
you could
pitcher.
watch it go by you. It's amazing.
You guys know
Throw it 2
there's
miles
such
an
a thing as slow pitch softball.
hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I
Slow pitch softball
I think I'd be
is
great.
like bar leagues.
I think I'd be the best. I think I'd be the best.
Boy,
I think I'd be the
you better
best.
hope my dad doesn't hear you say that. You hear what he said?
He's
say?
listening with Camacho, and they're like, oh.
bar leagues. My dad did slow pitch softball for like 15
I
years.
do think I'd be good at that though.
You'd never
Yeah, me
be
too.
like the greatest slow pitch softball player
no,
ever.
you would. You would.
That'd be like-
I actually know about the arena, and you would.
okay, fine. All right, continue
Anyway,
with the Jenny Finch.
boom roasted. So Jenny Finch was the best
Gotta be
softball
a
pitcher in the
Maxwell hot
world.
take.
She won gold at the Olympics with her team, USA Softball. She said, standing on the podium was the lowest moment of her life because she had worked all her life to get there and immediately realized, wow, what's next? A, B, I haven't built my life on the proper foundations. This didn't bring me happiness. And like that, and then she turns to Christ.
I was about to say,
After that,
maybe we should, at the end of this, we should send out an altar call and be like, okay, guys, don't be Neiman. Go find Jesus.
Yeah.
That's going to be the only foundation that's
I think
ultimately going
that
to satisfy.
summarizes a lot of what we've been saying.
Find
Yeah.
Jesus. That should be the title of this.
Yeah.
Well, I do,
Amen.
I
Don't drum and drive. Find Jesus.
I do think that that's,
Let Jesus take the wheel.
that it makes sense that if you were to view the movie like it was trying to say that Neiman was the way we should go, that that would be.
And
an
I didn't view it
unpleasant
like that.
movie.
Again, I don't think it was a bad movie. I understood the message.
Okay.
I understood the message. It was not, there was nothing about that was pleasant for me to watch.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like,
And again,
it's-
I
it
do
is-
feel like if it had been an hour long, it would have been more tolerable for me.
Yeah, I could.
So I just like in the middle of J.K. Simmons' rants, I just had to pause it and go do something else. It's like, I'm just sick of listening to this.
Oh, those are the best parts.
Another point I want to bring up is
Yeah.
the story behind Sean Casey. So I didn't realize this the first time I watched it, but when Fletcher first gets the call, he says to his class,
Yeah.
like, oh, he died in a car accident.
Yep.
And then later on in the film, after Neiman, you're done after that scene.
yeah.
The therapist lady, I think, she says that Sean Casey hung himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't pick up on that the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But the second time, I was like, oh, dude, like that's.
It's the
Yeah,
same.
they don't
just
beat, they don't
shows-
beat you over the head with that.
No.
There's a subtleness to it. Which
I
is
will
pretty
say,
powerful.
I do appreciate that the film doesn't spell everything out.
Yeah.
It shows you the events and it lets you figure things out. And it lets you make connections like that one.
I want
I just wish, again, the only thing I wanted a little bit more of just to validate to me why the people were being insane for Fletcher was just one little thing of saying, hey, Fletcher's the greatest. Or someone even saying that, because no one there's like a couple lines that imply that, but imply at least for Neiman that he really wants Fletcher to
you have the
catch
moment
Fletcher's notice.
when he's at the table, the dinner table, and he's like, I just made it onto to
his core,
whatever
yeah. The
band,
core.
and he's like, this is the best band in the world or
Yeah.
something, whatever
Yeah.
it is. So,
Okay.
there's some notion there that he is.
Yeah.
This is the great, like, regardless of what he's saying.
Yeah, but I did appreciate
He's probably
that
at a
about the
good point in
movie,
his
that,
career.
that it lets you put things together.
Yeah.
Right.
What were your guys' thoughts on, like, so when he talks about Sean Casey for the first time in the classroom, right, and plays his music, he is crying.
I know.
So
Yeah.
like
I think he's crying for himself. He's
Yeah.
like, I wasn't able to succeed.
Okay, now-
I failed in making him.
Now let me
a
Do
hit
great-
you
you with-
not think he feels like a little regret there?
No.
At all?
Now let
No,
me hit
he
you.
says he doesn't.
Let me hit you with another
Yeah.
scene. Remember the scene where he's interacting with
The girl.
the girl?
Yeah.
in the hallway.
So there is moments in the movie where he seems very emotionally normal
Yes,
and like
but I think
caring.
that's a facade.
Even with the little girl.
Yes.
So
I think that's a face he
Yeah.
puts on.
And you might be right. I'm
and that's why
curious.
other people, like outside of the classroom, people don't realize he's this horrible guy. And I think this is the case a lot of times with the people like, really? He was abusive or she was abusive? They seem so nice. Because a lot of times the abusers will are very good at putting on facades and tricking people around them to thinking that they're kind people.
Yeah.
But then when you get to in person, which usually it's parents to children, but in this case it's teacher to student, he's incredibly violently abusive to them. But to everyone else, they're just like, oh yeah, Fletcher, he's a great guy. I played jazz with him.
Well, and also he gets a chance to answer that question of like, do you actually feel remorse? And he's like, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, so he's not
Right.
sitting there going,
Yeah.
oh no, I just pushed a little too hard.
So maybe
he's
he
going,
is sad, but he doesn't have any regrets.
he's going, oh no, this must have not been the next bird.
Right.
And he's like, I thought I had it, but now I don't.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it's him. It's his own delusion. And
Yep.
and I think the scene with the girl, just shows you how intentional he's being with the students. That
Yeah.
he's not just an ornery guy that doesn't know how to control himself. He knows how to be civil. He's choosing to be so
Yeah,
abusive
and I
for
think-
his own purposes.
Yes, and I think that was the point of that, to show him like, hey, this is something. This is a choice. This is not like he's not just an out and out psychopath all the time.
Sure.
He's choosing to. He's intentionally, directly,
Yeah.
abusing his students, but to everyone else, he's just this nice jazz guy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really care for this movie. Right? Again, I didn't think it was a bad.
Is that
movie.
right?
I didn't think it was a bad movie,
You don't
but
say.
I did not enjoy watching it.
You don't say.
But Jakob did.
oh,
And
is
he,
that right?
He texted me and he was like, "Wow, you guys really picked a good one this
He
time."
liked this
I was
one.
like, "Really? He liked it? Okay."
That's fine. I feel like
So,
I
he
disagree
did
with
send us-
him. I feel like I disagree with him in every movie.
Yeah, I
which
know.
is
Which is
interesting,
weird,
'cause I
but
really
yeah,
like this one.
he said he sent us a letter.
I see it
so,
right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here
This
we
is from
go.
you.
It's a doozy.
Is it?
He told me a couple of things he was thinking, and I was like, "Jakob, I'm pretty sure you can get thrown in jail for that." But
All right,
that's
Liam.
Jakob for you.
Are you ready?
Do we want Matt to read it?
Yeah, let's have Matt read the letter from
have to
Jakob.
put
Matt,
on
are
an
you
accent,
comfortable?
though.
You have to talk like Zeus. The
You
whole
have to
time.
talk like these.
You-
You have to, like Eastern European.
You don't
almost
have
thing.
to. You can talk however you'd like.
No, you have to.
Wow, what an incredible movie. I mean,
Hold on.
Hold on.
We got a system here.
You gotta speak into the microphone.
And I gotta
we
cue
gotta get
you
the
with
music.
some
He's
music.
got music.
All right, you ready? All right, here we
Jakob's
go.
theme song.
Go ahead.
wow, what an incredible movie. I mean, the whole brutalized a bunch of white boys who think they're hip enough for jazz has to make up for at least a little white guilt. It's just a shame that J. Jonah Jameson is white, or it would have been a perfect movie. My only complaint is that in the end, the little white drummer boy was allowed to join the band instead of being sent to anti-racism classes so he could learn not to culturally appropriate Charlie Parker. It should have ended in an old boy with him cutting out his own tongue. Spoiler alert. In fact, you could all try that. You all could try it. It would make the podcast better. Ciao, colonizers.
Colonizers. Unbelievable, this guy, man.
I believe Jakob just told us to cut out our own tongues.
I think you get the gist of
You
his
get the gist.
personality.
Jakob
Matt.
is he's a fun kid. He's our Fletcher.
Yeah,
Jakob is our Fletcher.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Except I don't think he has any intention of making us better.
No, I think he actually wants the opposite. He wants to destroy us
He
from
wants to
within.
destroy us.
From within. He actually is funding it, but he does want to destroy us.
the difference is that Jakob gives us money,
Yep.
Yeah.
and so
Well,
And so we allow
gives
it.
us money for equipment. He doesn't actually pay us.
this is true. This is true. He pays us in
He
his.
pays us in stock. It hasn't vested yet.
So how brutal is it when he tells the girl that he's like, yeah, you suck, and I just pretty much need it because I'm awesome. Because,
Yeah, I was like,
because she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
She's so pretty.
She is. And she is a sweetheart.
And she's
yeah. I mean, look. Let's be
quirky
honest.
and-
We knew she was too good for him the moment he took her to that shitty ass pizza place,
Well-
and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is fine." Instead of throwing the pizza in his face and walking out,
But
being
she's
like,
so
"We
sweet.
live in New York. How dare you? How dare you?"
And I feel like another example of Neiman changing throughout the movie is on the first date. He's a sweet little naive boy.
Yeah.
Like he's like handling no.
on the first date is when he's like, wait, what school do you go to?
Yeah,
Wait,
he was-
why did you go there?
I didn't
And
read
then-
it. I know that was like a through line that she kept thinking she.
Again,
I didn't
don't
really
think
read it like that.
Neiman's character
rough.
doesn't like
He gets worse.
devolve so much as his true self comes out more. He becomes
Yeah.
less shy about his true self.
Well, I mean, but you can tell that it's definitely being modeled.
Well, it's definitely
right?
being
Because
changed by Fletcher.
You have the point right where it's a really beautiful moment where he's throwing out all of his drum stuff. He puts his drums in the closet and he's watching a video of him drumming and his dad saying, "Hey, you're doing great," and he's crying because he's realizing I used to have a love for this just because I loved to drum, and it didn't have to be about this obsession with being great to the point where I'm going to kill myself, right? Like that's the obsession level that he's towing the line of. He's going, I used to
I'm
just
gonna be honest. I thought the movie was gonna end like that.
Oh, well, I mean, that would have
I would
been. I mean,
Would have been fine.
I don't think it would have been terrible. Yeah,
No,
I think it would
that's
have
what
been
I'm saying.
fine.
I think it would have been fine.
But I think the ending, for the reason that I pointed out, which is what I think is the most compelling part, the fact that you kind of, the competitive nature and you kind of wanted to see it. Like you're like, oh, I want to see him go out there, and like, oh, I want him to do it. I want him to do it.
No, I wanted him to leave with his dad, but
I mean,
I'm built different. So.
But after the movie, I totally agreed with you. I was like, yes. And in even internally, if you were like, what healthy decision should he make? I would say, of course, he should go. His dad loves him, and this Fletcher guy is going to get what he wants, because that's what you hate, right? Is because yes, he gets that moment and he smiles, but then what do you see? It instantly goes to Fletcher, and Fletcher smiles, and then you're like, dang it, like that guy's kind of the worst. Like I don't like him. I don't want to start loving my abuser, but I like the fame that I'm getting right now. And so for me, it was just like, oh, I'm actually feeling those feelings, and I'm feeling kind of convicted for it. And I'm glad that I'm not that unhealthy person, but it's like I can understand that draw, and I understand, and I like people shining a light on it and saying it is an ugly thing to do, because I think most of the time we're just in the crowd going, oh my gosh, like how many movies do you watch about people being great and it's super healthy? It's just like, oh, this guy's the greatest because he worked really hard. We're like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, he's the guy. And then this one's like, yeah, when you're actually the greatest, you're not going to be a very balanced person, right? We all saw the Michael Jordan documentary, and what everybody walked away and they're like, yeah, this guy's addicted to gambling, and like he's not he's got a lot.
And he
of,
also owns the worst team in NBA history.
Not anymore.
He's got.
He sold it finally.
Yeah, right.
He made like $1 billion.
He sold the Hornets. Yeah, no, I don't think he's an owner anymore.
But you watch that documentary and you're like,
and then he's going to be broke again because he's going to gamble it all away to John. He's going to lose it all to John Boney in poker.
John Boney, that guy's. I just drove him to the airport earlier today. He's going to play in the Tournament of Champions. So,
Where's that at?
Vegas.
Wow.
So it's like 700 and something. Shout out John Boney. We hope you're gonna
Good luck, my man.
Kick butt tomorrow. It's a 3-day tournament.
You got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run.
I've heard that.
That's what I've heard.
Oh man.
Can I make a statement?
Yeah.
No.
I can't remember a objectively non-comedy movie
Liam
that has made me
Maxwell's
laugh
hot
out
takes.
loud more than this movie. I was cackling to myself at some of the lines that Fletcher had. Like, unbelievable. And most of them I can't say.
Oh, dude.
I think all of them
there
you
is some
can't say.
Now, let's see if I can work around it. I got some good ones. The one where he's berating the kid who thinks he's out of tune. And he's like looking down all sheepish. He's like, there's no Mars bar down there.
The one with the remote control. It's the calculator.
Unbelievable.
Where he's like, well, if you give a blank calculator, he's gonna try to turn on a TV with it.
Unbelievable. Dude, he had a The other one was, I didn't know they allowed beep into Schaefer. Is that when he's like, not quite my tempo, and it keeps building?
It doesn't know how to count.
He's like, I didn't know they allowed into Schaefer.
Oh, dude.
And then the last one is,
man.
oh, there's so many good ones. He has that monologue that he gives. Tanner's the name of the other drummer, by the way. He has a monologue
Tanner
he gives
Connolly.
to him where he's like, all right, step up, Mr. Gay Pride of the Upper West Side.
Yeah, when he was giving them the names, that was funny.
He's like,
that was one of my favorite
He's like,
ones.
this isn't a Bette Midler concert.
Dude, his also
Better drum faster.
just his
This isn't your boyfriend's. You remember that one?
Don't come early.
yeah, don't come early.
Barker, this isn't your boyfriend.
Oh, dude, just like right off the bat, and then he shows his psychosis when he's like really sweet to him. He's like, oh,
that's so scary.
Your dad? Oh, that's great. He's like, well, man, let's have some fun. And you go in there and you see Neiman smiling. He's like, yeah. He sits down and he's like, not quite my tempo. It's okay. It's okay. And he just runs it back and you're like, okay. And then you're slowly like, oh.
And he's like, this is why your mother left.
And then you're like, oh, he's crazy. Like this guy's not even just a little crazy. Like he is insane. You're like, this is just the end. Like it was.
I understand. Like obviously the movie like revolves around like Neiman. He's the main character. But is there no other competition like in the studio band? Because it's like only the drummers. It's only the drummers. And the one dude that got
Well,
kicked
and
out.
Also,
kick
they're,
out
they're
the-
all perfect except for the drummers.
They're all they're in tune.
Well,
Well, apparently the one guy was that.
Well,
too.
Only the one guy.
The other guys.
Erickson.
I think based on his methodology, it would tell you that he doesn't think that that any of them are worth pushing.
Yeah, that is true.
So he is seen because again, you can get the idea based on the fact that he kicks the guy out who is fine, and he doesn't kick the guy out who's slightly out of tune. That he's like, we're kind of the best, and we're not going to really have that many problems. They win the award easily, even when Neiman has to step in and be the drummer. And
Can
he's
I
the
be
backup
honest?
drummer. What's up?
When the out of tune thing happened, I thought it was because of the drum kit, because he was like, tune it to B
That's
flat.
what
He was
I
like,
also
tuning it to
thought
B
the same
flat.
thing.
And he's like, get out of here, let me do it. I really thought that's where they were going.
Yeah, I
with
thought it
that.
was
and
the
then
same
it was just
thing.
like some random ass trombone guy. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I think it was just to show
Elmer
off
Fudd. Elmer Fudd. You've been killing us for far too long, Elmer Fudd.
But I think it just shows you that his methodology really doesn't come from him. Like, these are the best students around. Yeah, he could probably tell you if it's really bad and he can correct it a little bit, but mostly he's just going to find a really, really good student and start abusing them until hopefully they turn in. Which is like, I mean, something we could talk about is like, does that methodology ever work to even make somebody good? Because the argument that the movie's making is that, okay, it's abusive, but it makes you great, and that's obviously not worth it. We've all discussed that. But does it actually even make you great in real life? That kind of, and I think that
I think there's a line between tough love and cruelty, and I
Yeah.
think there are some people who went through that and came out with, like, whatever you want to call greatness. But I think they end up so twisted that it's just ultimately not worth it.
Correct.
But yeah, I don't even think that it actually. I don't think that fundamentally even works.
Yeah,
I think that it's been proven that like encouragement helps way more than that. Like, I think,
There's a difference between pushing someone
yes.
to go beyond what they think they're capable of, and it's another thing to abuse someone so that they get angry enough that they
Right.
get better.
Yeah, like in my opinion, that was the one part of the movie where I was like, I'm just gonna have to suspend belief here and pretend that
Disbelief. You're suspending disbelief.
Sorry, and pretend that this makes you a better jazz drummer. Like that, it's all about just drumming faster, which I doubt. That
That's the only
actually is-
explanation they had was like, oh, someone threw a cymbal at Charlie Parker once, and he's great, so
Yeah.
it must work.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And for me, it's like everything we know about like modern coaching is the opposite. It's all about like mental health for players, and we have, at least in athletes, we have far more highly performing players than we ever have.
Yeah.
I mean, the comparisons from generations past is like we're always getting bigger and better. Like the players that we have now dwarf the players from.
Yeah. Again, tough love works for very specific people.
Yeah.
And for everyone else, it really, really, really doesn't work.
But there is cases.
No,
Tiger
again,
Woods
I don't-
is that immediately
No,
came
he's
to
the
mind as
best.
Tiger Woods.
But the question is, would he still have been the best if his dad hadn't been abusive?
That's a good hypothetical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
I think that, again, like we all keep saying, it's not that you need the absence of any pushing.
Right.
The pushing and the intensity and somebody fundamentally doing what Fletcher is saying, pushing you to go beyond what you think you're capable of is a good thing. Like that's great to have somebody that cares about you enough. But
Fletcher didn't.
Yeah, but the thing that we mentioned again in the accountant episode was that communicating how much you care about them and then pushing them is okay. It's okay to push and be like, hey, I just want to let you know this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I really think that this is going to be great for you. And that's just not the truth with Fletcher. Like,
Right.
and he says it outright. He's just like, the world needs this. We're depriving them of jazz. I'm like, dude, that's 4 people that are listening to jazz. I don't think they'll care.
Yeah.
We lost our jazz listeners.
All 4 of them.
So sorry to everybody who loves jazz.
I love jazz, and I'm still like, yeah, no. This is ridiculous.
A funny half-ass research I picked up on is, you know how like he's obsessed with, not obsessed, but like Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
He's also, I read into Buddy Rich, and supposedly Buddy Rich was just like a very laissez-faire, like didn't know how to read music at all, like didn't practice
see,
a whole lot.
And that's the thing, especially when it comes to like art, is you can kill yourself learning to be the best, but ultimately what has staying power is, I wouldn't say random, but you'll every now and then you'll get your Mozart, where he's
Yeah,
like,
no,
hey,
it's
6-year-old, and he's
savant.
just a brilliant genius guy, and he'll write amazing music, and it's like,
totally.
okay, well, you practice for 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you never catch up to Mozart. It's like
You're always going to be behind
you're always going to be
Mozart.
behind this
It's a
6-year-old
great-
kid
it's a
who's
great
who's
point.
reading and writing music upside down. It's like, okay, but guess what? People aren't like, I only listen to Mozart because only Mozart's worth listening to because of that talent. Like, no, people are like, oh, I like this class of music, that class of music. Like, you can make your impact without being quote unquote the greatest. And even in sports, you know, I think the one person who you would say is Tiger Woods is I think up there greatest of all time. But like you're like, well, is Michael Jordan the greatest of all time? Is LeBron James the greatest of all time? I think there's some argument because it's not just strictly speaking numbers. I think the person where it's kind of inarguable that they're the best who ever did it ever is Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. It's like I think it's just it's like he was playing a different league of hockey, like a super league of hockey, like ultra national hockey league or something like that. Like no one's ever argued with Gretzky. Like there's never been a discussion about who the greatest is because it's so clear cut. But I think in pretty much everything else, I think Michael Phelps is a swimmer as well. Just stood out in terms of his performance. But you know, I think a lot of times it's like, what does the greatest even mean? Especially if we're talking about musicians.
Right.
It's because like, what does the greatest mean? There's a lot of subjectivity in terms of musical enjoyment.
Well, and I think that's what it was hinted at a little bit at the dining room table scene, but you get it a lot more clear cut in sports because sports is in itself competition, right? So which means that it's not like, oh, you have a music competition. It was like, that's all sports exists as a competition. Like you're practicing, you're trying to beat the person against you. Then you play a game and you're trying to beat the person against you. And then you play a season and you try to win the whole season. And you have a franchise and you're trying to make it successful several seasons. Like, it's all competition. It only exists. You're only the greatest tennis player if you beat the other 10 tennis players. Whereas music, it's like you said, Mozart, okay, might be the most talented, I guess, of all time, but I could hate listening to Mozart, and I could really love listening to, you know, fill in the blank, Blink-182, and be like, well, that doesn't mean Blink-182
I would have picked another classical musician, but okay.
But that's my whole point, is that it can be that starkly different. Like music is nuts. Like it's so. The music is all over the place. And I think the kids at the table that were just like, hey, isn't that all subjective? Like, is music a competition? And again, it speaks more to his isolation that he's just like, he's just sitting there like seething because he's like, you peons don't even understand it.
And at the table, he's like, oh, you know, people are still talking about Charlie Parker. But then when he invites what's her butt to the music thing, he's like, oh yeah, we're playing JC. And he's explaining what the JCV is. He's like, oh, JVC or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess, you know, maybe jazz is not your thing. And he's like, he contradicts himself right there. He's like, everyone knows Charlie Parker. Like, no, nobody knows Charlie Parker. Like, he was the best of all time. Like, okay. He played a little bit of metal.
How real is that moment, though, where he's just like, hey, maybe, you know, like, I know, I just want to say I'm sorry. And then she's like,
let me check with my boyfriend.
Let me ask my boyfriend. And she's like,
I heard that.
I'm like, I was sitting there like, idiot, get absolutely wrecked. Again, I did not like Neiman. I was not rooting for him.
No, I agree. Like, there's no way you watched any of his interactions with her, with how sweet she was, and you were like, oh, but I feel bad for Neiman. Like, no. You're like, this poor girl.
Even at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this bozo needs to go touch grass.
Yeah. No, because you're all right. Even in the first date, there is a moment where the one part that they do bond over is that she's like, oh, she's so cute. She's just like, I'm homesick, and I feel like maybe I'm the only person at college. And then he's like, hey, I still watch movies with my dad. Mm-hmm. And that's the moment that they kind of connect. She touches her foot against his foot, and it's kind of this little moment. But that's all they have. Before that, he was belittling her because she didn't know what she wanted to do with her future. And you're like, you're seeing more starkly how much he's isolating himself. And so him pulling himself out of this isolation and growing close to another person, he identifies as a bad thing. And you're like, oh, this guy's unhealthy. This guy's at a really bad place.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's a movie about obsession, both for Neiman and for Fletcher, and how unhealthy obsession is and how it drives you to do stupid-ass things. Like, his hands are constantly bleeding, and he gets in the car crash and still, like, stumbles in and tries to play, and you're like...
Yeah, it's awful.
Dude, this is, like... I'm really... In my brain... it's just on repeat Han Solo saying, no reward is worth this, just over and over and over again. I'm like, well, that's my guy. And it's one thing. And so here's the thing. Like, when we watch like military movies and the people are overcoming these horrible things, or like John McClane walking over the broken glass, it's like, okay, in that case, it's worth it because you're saving human lives. Like, you're doing something that actually matters. And it's like, I'm going to do this to play drums in a jazz competition that doesn't have a monetary prize attached to it. Like, well, I just like, obsession is ugly, and it's very, and I think that's the point. Right? Again, I think it's a well-made movie, and that's the point, is that the obsession is ugly, and it destroys his life.
Right.
And but I didn't enjoy watching it. So
yeah, no, I think that's your reason for not wanting to just watch a guy get berated over and over again and get abused.
Well, also, but also his decisions. Really, I was like, I didn't like. Again, it's like the only character the only two characters that I are actually enjoyable in the movie are Nicole, who immediately gets shafted, and the dad, who's in like 3 scenes. So
the dad's great, man.
yeah, the dad's great, but his scene at the end, I was like, oh, maybe there's gonna actually be, and then he was like, nope, fuck you, walks back. I'm like, god damn it, man. And then the drum solo went on for like 12,000 minutes. Like I like me a good drum solo, but it needs to be 30 seconds.
I think it needed to be like, it needed to show you that lifestyle, it does look glamorous. Like we needed to be swooned by the ending.
I guess I wasn't
and
swooned by the
go.
ending.
But like, I was swooned, but I did feel like you. I was like, oh, your dad's great. Like, don't go back and make that guy happy. Like that horrible monster out there that keeps wanting to make you great, but in reality, he's doing it for himself. Don't go back out there and give him what he wants. Like, don't do it. But then, of course, he goes out there and it's this sick moment, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. And I think that's the point. Is that I'm like, oh, it does look really, really glamorous, but the truth is that it's not, and it's really nasty. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that. I was just like, no, he's an idiot, and he's
maybe there is a.
There are other places you can play the drums. You absolute dumbass. I'm just like.
He'll just be in every scene, like screaming the obvious.
Like, oh my God, get your head out of your ass, you stupid man. And it was frustrating for me.
I can understand.
I understand there was some section, but I didn't see any glamour in that ending scene. It was just frustrating for me.
Well,
it was pure. It was Fletcher spiting. It was Fletcher spiting Neiman, and then Neiman spiting Fletcher right back. And I was like, this is gross.
Yeah, I will say I might have been swooned a bit extra just because the movie itself is really well made. I mean, like the cinematography and just right off the bat,
other than the desync of the instruments, amateur.
The opening scene where it's drawing into Neiman, who's playing in a room by himself, and it's this slow zoom in to him, and you finally get to him, and then he looks up, and J.K. Simmons walks in the room. It's all shot beautifully. It's really well done. The intensity of every moment being on the beats of like these really quick jazz drums, to where it's like it's a suspense that you're feeling as you're watching. And I was like, it's doing a great job, and that part of me can also they can also turn my I guess my ears, like perk my ears up a little bit in moments like that and say, oh, this is really nice, because that ending, just the whole organization of it was really well done, really beautiful. Yeah. So it made me want to look longer.
J.K. Simmons won Best Supporting Actor, Academy Award.
Makes sense.
He was phenomenal. Like he had the moment where he cries and all of a sudden gets sympathetic, and you're like, dude, you are he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah,
like,
he's great.
I'm like, you are.
He's one of the more underrated actors of our.
Really, I think he's pretty highly rated.
I guess he is. He's probably more highly rated than I
think one of the things is, like we did in this podcast, is because he played J. Jonah Jameson, everyone makes I want pictures of Spider-Man memes. Well, he's an excellent actor.
He's just not a leading man. Yeah. Like, he doesn't lead movies.
Yeah. You know who?
He's always the second or third.
Who he plays? What the video game voice he does in Portal 2? He's Cave Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in Portal 2.
I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these?
Dude, the game is hilarious.
Iconic.
But he's Omni-Man in Invincible.
Think, Mark, think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay,
have you guys seen the picture of Omni-Man like twerking with just a fat booty?
No.
It's someone took like the Think Mark Think and just like randomly splices in his ass. He's like, Think Mark Think, and it's like boom. And you're like, what is happening?
Hey, Lee, you got that? Pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, I'm Googling it real quick. Also won adapted screenplay.
So it was a book?
Well,
it was
a short film.
Short. Oh, okay.
Adapted from the short film.
Gotcha. Again, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more as a short film.
It would have been interesting to see it as a short film. Because
I got another half-ass research.
Dun-dun-dun.
Damien Chazelle is the director.
Okay.
He got in a car accident during filming.
Okay.
And returned the next day.
So he did. He pulled a Neiman. I wonder if they added that scene after that happened, or if it was life imitating art.
Considering they filmed it in like
crazy?
10 days, I doubt they added anything. Although you know what, they spend an entire day filming a scene with Neiman and J.K. Simmons in like J.K. Simmons' apartment, and they just scrapped the whole thing.
Bummer.
So
like
build
10%.
Cam.
Yeah.
They wasted a whole day. Not wasted, I guess, but
worked out.
Yeah.
Could have been 18 days. I had 19.
I had 19 days.
I had 19 days.
Oh, is it 19?
Fact check.
19 days.
Probably right.
I wasn't gonna fact check.
I think
it's my first time.
But it's
here.
under 3 weeks.
It's 10 weeks, right? It was 10 weeks.
10 weeks of filming to finalize.
Okay, so I mixed up the weeks and the
Yeah.
days.
10 days would be wild.
Dude, hey, how about you keep the half-ass research to me?
We can do the other half.
Know your role. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your
buddy.
lane, Greg. You flip the cameras.
It's
Flip
wild.
the cameras, Monkey Man. That movie was not good. We watched that. That was not a good movie. Monkey Man.
I actually forgot we watched.
Considering that Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings,
because it was so
It was so appalling.
It was just like not worth keeping in your memory.
that. No, yeah.
it was really,
Anyways.
I thought it was really empowering.
When all those women showed up, let me put it big here. All those women showed up at the end, and okay, here's the thing that bothered me: the 100% that I told you about this, Greg. So at the
We're
end,
flipping to Monkey Man.
yeah,
by
we're
the
flipping to
way,
Monkey Man.
audience.
Just real quick, they go into they're in this bar like at the hotel, and Monkey Man is like surrounded by bad guys, and then all the transvestite Hindus, which apparently exist, show up. And they all start pulling out weapons. Like one pulls out two scythes, and one pulls out like a billy club, and one guy pulls out a stick of dynamite and lights it. And no one ever throws the dynamite. There's never an explosion. I'm like, where did the dynamite go, guys? You lit a full stick of dynamite in a small room. Everyone is dead. That would have been a better end of the movie. They're like, aha! And then just everyone explodes. And that's the end of the movie.
Literally the scene from Anchorman.
Yeah.
Where somebody
Where
just
did you
walks
get a
in
grenade?
with a hand grenade? I don't know. All right, more half-ass
Rick
research.
killed I got one more.
I got you go.
Go ahead, man. No, you go.
You guys, who do you think stole the folder?
I think it was J.K.
for-
Simmons.
for
Is there an
sure.
answer to this?
For sure.
I don't think there's not any answer, but I just want to hear you guys' thoughts.
Ty Simmons. Right?
I mean,
There's probably
I
Simmons.
think it's supposed
Has to be.
to be implied that it was Simmons. I mean, I assumed it as soon as he put it down, and then he looks away and he looks back and it's gone. I'm like, okay, somebody stole it, and Simmons has incentive because he's identified him already
Right.
as being his guy that he's going to push. So
That scene made my heart drop too, because I've been there where I'm like something very valuable is lost, and that's the worst feeling in the world. And he knows it's over. He will never be able to build friendships with anybody else in the band in that moment. He blew it. He's the
But that's another depth of the isolation that
Yeah,
is putting him
yeah.
through to make him more dedicated
it's
to
all-
music, and it's all just,
calculated.
It's all just psycho.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
last one is the final scene. The director wouldn't yell cut,
Yep. I heard
which
that
is
too.
great. That's awesome.
Just to make him continue to
Yeah, just
keep-
to exhaustion. Just to exhaustion, which is really cool.
Oh, the drumming?
Yeah.
So that's
why it was
this is
so
why
long.
Nathaniel
That's why
was
it
so
was so
mad because you're actually right. They just never yelled cut. That's why he went on for so long.
I just put on for so long. I kept looking. Okay. He's still playing the drums. Okay, he's still playing drums because he said right because the first one he does the drum solo, and then the dude, the cello player, the bass player next to him is like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'll cue you in. We're playing Caravan." And then he cues him in. They play the song, and then he just starts playing the drum solo again. And J.K. Simmons says, "I will gouge your fucking eyes out," and he says, "I'll cue you in," and then does a 5-minute drum solo. I'm like, dude, cue him in! Holy, please cue him in! I'm dying over here.
The other good line is when Fletcher tells Neiman, "I will f you like a pig."
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Where he's like, "I will fuck you like a pig." And I'm just like, "What?" And everybody, he's just
Oh,
he's
goodness.
insane in that
Awesome.
movie. But okay, so real briefly, and we won't get too detracted here, but
Distracted?
detract is detracted.
No, detracted
Is it
works.
synonym? Synonym?
No.
It's a synonym.
No,
Synonym. It's
Detract
synonym.
means
It's a
detract.
synonym.
Detract is like take away from.
Okay, well then
Well, you
you're
didn't like
right.
Greg
Like
Fittis.
your
What if he was gonna-
detractors are people who are saying
No,
bad things.
he's right.
about
I
you.
was
Oh,
wrong.
okay. I was trying to defend you.
So
If it's worded things, I'm usually right
To-
over Greg.
Yeah.
Not always, but
He's
usually.
got an issue though.
especially okay, guys.
He's
I can-
dyslexic. He
I
can't,
can
he's dyslexic.
speak
He said the wrong word.
fine.
He's got vocal dyslexia.
I'm fine at
Take it easy,
speaking,
Nathaniel.
you
Take it
monkey.
easy.
Me speak good.
Oh my god.
I love you, Greg.
Look, when anyone in the friend group makes a mistake on words,
Oh, yeah.
or mispronounces,
It's
it's
over.
over.
Completely.
It's over
It's
forever.
Chew him
super
up.
great.
Chew him
over
up. Spit him
forever.
out.
All right, so to not get too sidetracked
There you
here,
go.
we watched another movie early or end of last week.
Oh yeah, we
Called
should do a 5-minute
Old
discussion about this
Boy.
because that's all it merits.
And And so we're not going to get into this movie. This movie is just a really, really brutal movie.
Absolutely
it's,
heinous.
It's really rough. It ends in a very rough way. And then Liam, Nathaniel, and I had a brief conversation where we berated Liam for liking a movie like that. And
There's just there is no joy, no enjoyment, nothing, no light. It's just pure darkness. It's miserable.
And in my
Correct. I agree with everything you just said.
in my
Great movie, though.
In my opinion, as to why a movie like this is so much different, Whiplash has similar beats in the sense that it ends sad for the main character.
Mm-hmm.
The main bad guy gets what he wants, and it's troubling to watch at times because it's just painful abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I can take a really positive theme out of that is actually applicable to it's really applicable to our time. The fact that we idolize these people that get great into obsession, and we don't care about what it's doing to their lives. We just care about our fantasy football team. Like they get in a car accident and they're out for 3 weeks. I'm just mad that my running back's out. My team. We can all relate to just viewing these people like horses in a race. Mm-hmm. And I think it did a cool job shining a light on that and being like, hey, listen, it's not always just great. Like you should care. You should be like the dad and less like Fletcher and the people in the audience. Whereas Old Boy had all those same elements, hard to watch. It's not a happy ending. It's not any of these things, but there's no message to take from it. It's just.
What are you talking about? The message was don't sleep with anyone related to you.
But he didn't know he was.
No, but for both him and the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, the bad guy.
I guess
the bad guy.
Easy. Hey, if you don't sleep with your relatives, nothing bad will happen.
I actually
that was
did.
The message.
I dug
I think it's a good
super
message.
deep in me.
Game of Thrones also had that message
to try to find a message in that movie. And the one thing I got, and I'm not going to give you any credit for this, but there is the painting on his wall in his isolation room that was like
Where he's like smiling at it.
Well, and the painting read, it's if you laugh
the
together,
smile and the world smiles with you, weep and you weep alone.
Weep and you weep alone. Yeah. And I think that was kind of his claim towards like ignorance is bliss kind of at the end, because he couldn't know the truth and just weep alone, or we could have his mind wiped. And
right, and I'm sure he was thinking that if his daughter knew, then she would do what
she would weep
the
alone.
Sister did. No,
yeah.
jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I don't know.
And that's exactly what I said to you guys. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So thank you.
Anyways,
I will accept your apology.
My point being that this is a movie that has all of those elements that you were saying. Oh, you just don't like sad movies. No, this is a tragic movie.
And over here.
There are there are a few movies that have like tragic endings that I do enjoy.
Like?
This is not one of them.
Give me one.
I have to think about it.
That's
But Fight Club technically not the so the movie doesn't, but the Fight Club the book basically ends with him in limbo and being like, I got rid of
Tyler Durden.
Yeah, I got rid of Durden, but then all the people who are part of the organization are like, we're waiting for you to come back, Tyler, and it basically ends like Tyler Durden's going to come back. He didn't actually solve anything, and it's actually really good. I'll come up with a different movie that I know I've watched movies like that. Well, it was sad, and been okay with it,
But
been at
like,
peace with it. But
like Old Boy isn't even like. I think Nathaniel could look at Whiplash and go like, yeah, it was well done, it was well acted.
Yeah,
You
I just
like
didn't
it at
enjoy
all.
watching it.
Whereas I'm actually arguing for the point that Old Boy needs serious points taken off as a movie for what it did. Like I think if you were to break
from a well-made perspective, or saying from a plot
from an objective. If we're going to try to approach this objectively, if we were going to like, you can break down movies into multiple different categories, like a bunch of different things. And if we were going to break it down into two,
I mean, should we really be talking about Old Boy when Matt hasn't seen it?
yeah, this is a good point.
Key takeaway.
It's already been spoiled.
Key takeaway.
Old Boy is trash. Don't
Great
watch it.
oxymoron though.
Yeah.
Old Boy.
Look at this guy. He's learned. My cousin's a learned boy.
That's beautiful.
I don't think Matt would like it, so I don't feel bad spoiling it for
It's an
you.
appalling movie.
Go for it.
You know what? Can I say something real quick?
Yes,
I think
you
it's
can.
good that I'm involved with you three, because sometimes I just watch a movie and I go, "Oh, I was really entertained for that entire
District
movie."
9, I think,
and then
has a
and then you know what I
pretty
do?
tragic ending.
I
That was a
don't.
great movie.
I don't like read into anything. I just say, "Oh, it was really entertaining 2 hours," and then I don't look for the messages
Why?
because I don't mind
Why?
viewing movies from that
Why?
perspective.
But
You guys do.
But I can't get away from the message of Old Boy.
You guys do. I don't sometimes. I just say, "Wow, that flew by. That 2 hours flew by. Very entertaining." was interested in everything going on.
You changed.
Oh, cool.
You changed it to sometimes on the last time. It went from I don't look into it sometimes. So
Yeah, I don't look into it. I do look into it sometimes.
Here's the movie that has
No,
a
I
that
don't
technically
always
has
not
a
look into it.
that technically has a bad ending that I really enjoyed. Fallen with Denzel Washington. Technically has and I can't explain it. You got to watch it.
Okay.
We should watch it sometime. It's really good, but it technically has a bad end.
When I view movies, like, and when I watch them, I like to go into it very positive.
Yeah.
You know, I just if I enjoy the 2 hours, and I'm like, that movie was fun.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Like,
but I didn't enjoy the 2 hours of Whiplash.
like even I know you guys did like all the live action Disney stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
And like even like okay, like love Lion King, right? One of my favorite movies growing up, and it was like just seeing like the live action. I was like, like yeah, like obviously it has a lot to like work on.
I'm
and it's
like Marie
not,
Kondo. It did not
and
spark
it's not
joy.
going to win an
therefore I threw
Oscar,
it
but
away.
it's just like it's fun.
I
you know?
am shockingly closely aligned to what you just said.
like
You hated the live action Disney stuff.
That was
Well,
a
that's-
specific example. What he's saying as a overall sentiment, I agree with.
Well,
There's a
but
lot of times where I'm just like, that was
I saw
good.
the one movie that I absolutely hated was I doubt any of you guys saw this, but it was like the Italian version Pinocchio. Like it was
it's the one made by Del Toro.
Guillermo del
stop
Toro
motion.
one?
Stop motion.
No,
it's
not.
it's like a live action Pinocchio.
I know what you're talking about.
Dude,
I've never
it's
seen it.
it's frightening.
I was gonna say
It's frightening.
I mean, the
terrifying.
Disney
It's-
live action Pinocchio was awful.
It's in Italian and
Mamma mia.
and like all like the lips like syncs are off. Blah blah blah. Obviously,
I saw
Dude,
I saw like an image of it
yeah.
one time.
I
was
gotta pull up a.
That sounds haunting.
All right, sounds like we should wrap this up.
this one,
that's it. That's it.
Oh dear God. You know what it looks like? It looks like the Oracle from Minority Report as a
Jeez,
child.
That is really scary. It's not.
look at the guy too. He looks like he should be on a list or something.
that is scary.
This guy.
Well, when
Yeah.
You trust that
Matt
guy around a wooden
He's
boy?
just Italian.
You trust that guy around a wooden boy?
when Matt walked into this room, he actually made a really good suggestion. Not having watched the end to any of our shows, Nathaniel, he said, "Hey, you know what you guys should do? You guys should do a Mad Lib at the end of all your shows."
That is an excellent suggestion.
And we all
And
looked
we
at
said,
him
"You
and
know
said,
Allegedly,
You know
I'm
what?
not a real fan.
"So, Matt,
It's
if you
not
would grab that
alleged.
book of Mad Libs to your bottom
I gotta take
right,
the stupid ring off,
and
so I actually have room.
if you could hand that to your cousin."
Am I getting the sunglasses in?
Yeah, you are actually.
We'll try to see if Nathaniel can make it out of the inner tube. All right, so this is how it works, Matt.
Do I have
Liam
a
is going to pick a
glasses
Mad
on?
Lib,
Ooh, I like this one.
and he's going to ask you all of the questions. You will need to answer these questions. He will be writing them all down. At the end, Nathaniel will read it out to us in a funny voice. And the goal with all of this is that when we get through season 2, we have all these Mad Libs acquired. We are going to spend an episode looking through them and picking one to actually film as a short film between the three of us.
Love
So
this.
Isn't that cool?
I love this.
And you know what we should also add? Whoever's Mad Lib that was
Can star in
films it with us.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they-
who-
Dude, I win.
absolutely.
So,
I'm gonna win.
So,
So there's incentive.
So there's incentive to make it.
you know?
To
I'm gonna
make
be
it
obsessed with this.
one. There's incentive to one, make it make sense, and 2, make it very funny. Like those are the 2 big things. Like,
Oh, you want it to make sense.
Well, you're. well,
No, not a Mad
you want
Lib.
it to be. You want it to be like doable. I guess is the idea.
Okay.
Like if you were just to say trash can for everything, like it would probably.
We could film that. That'd be a lot easier to
I mean,
film.
I don't know if that's getting picked, but
That'd be
anyways.
much easier for us to do.
So maybe do that.
Yeah, so maybe just
So-
do trash cans.
Matt's a competitor. I know he's gonna give us all to this.
I got to do some
Liam,
touching
what,
up on
what
my.
kind of music do I need to look for?
Well, do we
English.
want to spoil that? Though?
Actually, yeah.
Don't we
Wait
think
for
we
it.
just go
Wait for it. Yeah.
first?
Go ahead and ask your questions.
Adjective.
adjective crunchy?
Love
Plural
yeah.
noun. Let me know if you need a reminder.
Miami?
Or
Person, place, or
refresher.
thing.
That's a
a singular.
noun.
How's that?
Plural.
Plural noun.
Miami's.
Both of them. The one
what's
in
a
Ohio
plural noun?
and
It's
the
a
one in
noun,
Miami.
Not
A
proper
before.
noun.
Oh,
Plural
not a
noun.
proper. Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Plural
Let's
noun.
do Miller Lights.
What's a proper noun?
A proper,
Proper
noun,
noun
is
is
like
a-
a name.
is a name.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive that you knew what a proper noun was, man.
It's P noun. It's a P noun, something like that.
Okay, another plural noun.
Another plural noun.
Yeah.
Brothers.
Silly word.
Oh,
I've
dude,
never seen that one before.
make
That's
it
a new
up.
one.
Silly. Disserus.
Love that.
You spell that for me?
Fergulous.
Disserous.
Disaurus?
type of
Watch that
liquid.
be an actual word.
Milk.
Solid.
Raw milk. Raw
Yeah.
milk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Way
The
healthier.
funniest type of liquid,
Yeah.
obviously. Adjective.
Smoky.
Noun.
Creatine.
Yo, this guy's getting yoked.
All
Get that
man, we get
pre-workout.
it. You're big, dude. Verb.
Flying.
Yeah. Plural noun.
Another one. Sharks.
I like how you filled in just one of those O's.
I have problems. Verb ending in ing. So the other flying, I cut the fly, by the way.
So it's flying.
Yeah, so now
he cut
now-
the ing. So
Yeah, he cut the ing.
it's
So
just
that one is just fly.
So fly. Right? Verb ending in ing.
Sleeping.
Give me another verb ending in ing. I'm going to use that one. And the next one is also a verb ending in ing.
So 2 more verbs than that.
Just one.
Bantering.
Okay.
Number.
Liam liked that one.
Number. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
It's the number.
Plural noun and then a noun, and then you're done.
Plural noun and then a noun. Let's go with big fans.
Okay.
Can we do that? Right?
Sure.
With
You
okay.
can do whatever you want.
And then a single noun.
Yeah.
Meatball.
I
right, Greg.
really hope we can do this one.
We got a spooky.
okay.
Spooky stuff.
Spooky stuff.
Smoky, right? I said smoky.
You said smoky.
It's funnier when you don't know what the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gregos, try to make it make sense.
Okay. Hold on a
Make
second.
it make sense.
Hold on a second. We got Nathaniel and.
Check 1, 2. No, that's
me,
you.
Okay. All right. So give me 1 second here.
You smell like organ music. Not Oregon. Organ.
What's that famous like
Music
But
from
it's
Oregon.
toccata and fugue in D minor. I know
Okay.
that because I love it.
Okay, here we go. So without further ado, we have Nathaniel reading the creepy Mad Lib by Matt Maxwell. Take it away.
American children are fascinated by crunchy stuff, like stories that scare the Miller Lights off them. Why are these kids drinking Miller Lights? This is a problem. Okay, we're just going to pretend that we're talking about Alabama children. Or make their brothers stand on end. Is that like...
You gotta
Is that
keep
inappropriate?
going.
Sorry.
Start over.
Scientists say this is because being frightened causes the Discerus gland to function and puts raw milk into their blood. And everyone knows that makes kids feel smoky. When they are scared by a movie or creatine, boys laugh and holler and fly, but girls cover their eyes with their sharks and keep screaming and sleeping. Most kids get over this by the time they are 69 years old.
That's good. That's good.
Then they like movies about cars bantering, so cars, or cops shooting big fans. Or, if they are girls, they like movies about a boy meeting a meatball and falling in love. Of course, that can be scary too. This is sexist.
It's a good one.
This is gendered. Actually, we're perfectly fine with that here.
That's great.
Wait, that's the end?
That's the end. That's it. There were some questionable things that happened in there.
I wish
brothers
stand on
pronouns
end.
was a thing on there.
What would you do?
I don't know.
Zzen.
Zzer. Demon self.
Caesar, clown self, please.
Yo, Matt. That's good. You can take a picture of it if you want.
What a great idea by
man.
What a great idea by me.
Yeah, good
Great
Matt.
idea,
You
man.
should be our new producer.
Let's
Turn
give
is
it
it
up
for
for Matt.
guests?
So Nathaniel, that would be you.
It would be me.
And the
it's-
date would be, let's see, that would be Thursday the 6th.
Nope.
Okay.
Swim meets start all of June, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Ooh.
So we will get back to you all on when you will see us next. We definitely will be live next time. We will get this fixed.
But it might be on a Wednesday.
It might be on a different day, TBD, but Nathaniel will bring a guest. Great show, guys. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for picking the movie. Awesome conversation, guys. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you,
wow,
Matt.
that conversation was so intense you gave me whiplash.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Well done, Mr. Maxwell.
Thanks for having me. I'll be back. Hey, I
Absolutely,
hope to
man.
be back soon.
That's right. We'll just have you recurring.
Yeah.
Semi-recurring guest.
American guest.
We have a lot of people that actually that have a good enough experience on the show. I think maybe what we can do is like do a poll to see which one the people liked the most, and then
Gotta give the people what they
vote.
want.
and then
Vote for me.
I'm just gonna get a bunch of bots and vote for Matt.
Get Jakob on here.
Yeah, get Jakob with his bots.
And Jakob's vote at the end of the day is going to
Fight
be
night.
the only one that counts. So.
We should do a fight night one of these times too.
With Jakob?
Yeah.
Like fighting him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Oh, he's
I think
gonna
it'd be great for
send.
content.
He's gonna
Super
send
down to
his
fight.
bruiser and be like, "Yeah, that's me over there."
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, until next time, we are out.